Welcome, everyone. It's good to see you, each of you. And before we start, let's just take a deep breath in through our nose, taking it down to our hips, and exhaling out through our mouth, all the worries and cares of the day. Bringing another deep inhalation, holding it, exhaling with an audible. One more inhalation. Pause, center, exhale. There's nowhere we need to be, nothing we need to do. As we sit in this sacred space, we are centered and grounded. And we are going to go around and say where we are from and how many people and situations we'd like to bring into this space. I will start. My name is Audrey. I'm from Northeast PA, and I would like to bring in 6 situations, 19 people, the Ukraine as the global situation, and the quality I'd like to bring in is stability. And I tag Linda.
I think I'm still, you can hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm Linda Savage from North County, San Diego area. It's a hot day today. And I would like to bring in 6 people and the global situation that we're all talking about. And I want to bring in the concept of beauty or the feeling of beauty as the Native Americans understand it, which is a force of nature. So I'm bringing in beauty. And let's see. How about Angelique?
Thank you, Linda. Hello, everyone. I'm in the Netherlands, on the west coast of the Netherlands. The city is called The Hague, Den Haag. And it's, since 2 days, it's real beautiful weather, real sunny, spring-like weather, although it's pretty cold, but the sun is so beautiful. And it changes everything, and it's so in contrast with the situation, the global situation on the other side in Ukraine. So my quality for today is balance and harmony, and I bring in 12 people and 2 situations, and my heart goes to the people in Ukraine and Russia, the men as the women and the children, everyone. So yeah, and I go to Arlie.
Hi, I'm Arlie in New Zealand. I would like to bring in peace. We really need peace, both for ourselves and our rampaging emotions, the stress levels as we go through this, and for the world. I'd like to bring in 18 people and 2 situations, and I will call on Deborah.
Thank you. I'm in North Carolina with the setting sun streaming in on this side. That's why I'm in shadow. I'm in North Carolina, Central North Carolina. I'd like to bring in 12 people Ukraine global situation, 3 other situations. And I'd like to bring in peace, but I'd also like to bring in, I'm not sure how to phrase, like diplomacy and successful negotiation. And I will call on Cinda.
I'm Cinda. I am just south of Portland. It is pouring down rain, but wouldn't be Oregon without it. Well, I would like to bring in one person and one situation that they're involved in, and I would like to bring in Declaration of Independence. And I will call Kelly.
Hello, hello. Also in Portland, Oregon, and we have a swimming pool in our backyard as of now. So doing the backstroke this morning. I want to bring in observation through the fractal lenses of the dragons in terms of the duplicity, all of these pieces, all being able to watch all of these pieces at play. And also bringing in within that the unification of the birds. And I mean like the birds, all the birds singing their song, showing up and being present everywhere. Like the birds are doing their work. And I don't know if this is the bird tribes or what this is, but the birds are doing some pretty magical things. So I want to bring in the energy of the winged ones, this realm, all realms that are here to navigate this, whatever this is that we're going through in terms of leading us in the right direction or helping keep us lifted. So, and pluck away at all the and I have one situation and 2 people's hearts I'd like to bring into the space. And Sue, I'd like to tag you.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm Sue. I'm in Edmonds. I want to bring in the 4 elements in balance. And transformation. Transformation of humanity, the consciousness of humanity. And to me, that's the whole thing is a global issue. Sharon Alexander. Thank you, Sue. Hello, everyone. Glad to be here. And I come from Colorado, where the sun is starting to warm up the frigid temperatures we had all last week. So that's a joyful celebration. And I'd like to bring 14 people and 3 situations. And the energy of peace and the image of a sunflower, which I shared earlier today with some, and also in a yoga class I teach on Monday mornings, because the sunflower can root deep like like women connecting through the roots 7 feet down into the earth to find moisture even in the driest of conditions. And I just find them always so cheery to look at, the yellow flowers or the variegated colors. So I think we need to, I want to remember to stay positive and bring beauty
in and spend time in nature. So peace and sunflowers and the color yellow today. Thank you. Let's see, is that everybody? No?
Sharon.
Maybe it is everybody. Oh, Sharon?
Sharon.
Another Sharon. I think Sharon Raji here on Woodby Island. I want to bring in 32 people, 4 situations in addition to Ukraine, Russia. And the quality I want to bring in is the deep authority connected to teams beyond the planet. So connections deep in the earth up into the galactic worlds. And I'm going to call on, I think, Arlie, you haven't gone yet, have you? You did?
Yes. Sue, did you have any people or situations?
"17 people and just the whole global situation."
Okay. Okay.
Can I share something, please?
Absolutely. I was just going to open this for that. Yes, please. And we'll turn around.
I'd love to really resonate on what Kelly says about the bird tribe, because today I received an image of Mount Shasta from a dear friend who lives there, and she pictured the mountain, and she couldn't see the top, but there were thousands of snow geese flying there. And the medicine of the snow goose is journeying, especially inner journeying, deep inner journeying, and to sacred places. So it's about prayer, and I thought it was really beautiful image to share here as well. Thank you.
I want to talk about Kelly's bird people too, because I had the exact same thought this morning. My windows open, I could hear the rain pouring and pouring, and then I heard a bird song, and then I heard multiple birds singing. And usually they go undercover when it's this stormy, but they're not. They're out everywhere, and they're vocal. And it's so beautiful, the contrast between the violence of the storm and the beauty, bringing in Linda's word, of the song and the birds and the life that they're reminding us of, which is so incredible. And Sharon Alexander, I know that the sunflower, this morning I was just listening to the ancient ones, and the energy of the sun came through and spoke through Sharon. And, of course, the sunflowers represent the face of the sun and follow the sun wherever it goes. But it's also, I understand, the flower of the Ukraine. So it's so perfect to be bringing in the energy of the sunflower as we are also working with keeping Ukraine safe energetically. So I just think it is so wonderful how we all are overlapping.
Thank you for bringing that up, Cinda, because I didn't share that part, which I started with in the beginning of the day, that yes, and that's why it's in my mind as the national flower, I think, for Ukraine. And also when I stepped outside for some lunch today and to take in the sun after it's been very, very cold here, new bird sounds were at the top of this spruce tree. There are always bird sound, not always, but I was drawn to listen to them, and I hadn't heard them in a long time. And it seems like a new and a young community, and many of them, and they were singing an uplifting, cheery note. So I love the bird tribe thing that's going on here. So thank you. Yes, and sunflowers feed them in the fall.
If there's not anyone else would like to share, we'll set space. So as we are all gathered here in
Deborah,
this.
Deborah
I'm
wanted
sorry.
to, sorry.
Oh, I'm
Did-
sorry, Deborah. I'm
Um,
sorry.
just real quick,
Take your time.
I did have 2 bald eagles fly overhead today, but I wanted to bring up something if it's, I don't know if it's important to anybody else or in the journeying today, but I had really weird dreams last night and they were old ones. And I remember when I finished my PhD, I had to go and file it right at the last minute. And I had dreams for years and years that I hadn't really graduated. I really wasn't a PhD and didn't really have it. And that's been like 1980. And it came up really strongly last night. And it was so strong. It was like real. And I was like, really? And I'm not, and I'm a fake and I'm this and that. And my brother was there and had done something. But anyway, it was, and when I woke up, it's like, what in the hell was that? Excuse me, but what was that all about? And the thought that came to mind is that the parasitics are really trying hard to anything they can grab onto of any old patterns that are still there. And because it was like, this is just so old. So it's just bringing it up. And so I was just thinking if anything was up for people in their journey today, if that had come up for them to go and deal with. Thank you.
Anybody else like to share? No? Okay. So as we are gathered here in this sacred circle of women standing in their true authority, we call upon the Guardian Circle protocol for safety, protection, for the Red Rock vortex, for hazmat suit absorption, and also the hitchhiker shield, knowing that we are held in safety and in sovereignty. And in this sacred space, we are bringing in 117 people, 28 situations, the global situation with the Ukraine and Russia, their men, their women and children, knowing that all energies are good of good. We'll be working on that. Knowing that the PTO will be deep sixing and sending back to home source any energies that are not of good, not of our lights. And as we are in this space, we call in divine feminine energies that walk with us every day, that provide us the authority and the sovereignty of standing in our authenticity as we walk on this earth, connected with Gaia, Sophia, and the cosmos. And the qualities that we're bringing into this space are stability, beauty as a force of nature, balance and harmony, peace and diplomacy with successful negotiation, declaration of independence, observation through the fractal lenses through eyes of the dragon, unification of the birds and energies that they use, 4 elements in balance, transformation of humanity and its consciousness as a whole, deep authority connections with earth and galactic forces of good, peaceful, energies of the sun, of the sunflower, and of the color yellow, of the frequency and vibration of yellow. And as we journey to where we need to go, we know that we are guided and trust in what we are to do. We'll call you back in 10 minutes. Okay. Welcome back. Apologize. Would anybody like to open and we can share popcorn style?
I'll go ahead.
Can I-
And
Okay,
then-
no, you
then
go
Angie.
ahead.
Okay.
I
Angie.
wait. I wait.
Okay. Who connected with me was Gaia, and she said she wanted permission to examine all of the inner earth constructs using those elves, dwarfs, etc., of those regions and those worlds, to be able to clear the resources that they've been holding, to clear them of any outsider ownership, attachment, monitoring, to get rid of all outsider in that regard, and so that they could then secret them away. They wanted to secret them away to make them invisible to parasitic forces such as Putin or any other on the planet. They said that the inhabitants of those regions and those realms would lead the PTO groups through in order for the PTOs and whomever they needed help in clearing those energies in those areas. And so I said, we want this and better. So if there's other things that I don't understand, they have permission to up the ante, if you will. So that's what we did. Thank you.
Shall I go?
Go ahead, Angelique. Yes, please.
Um, let's see. I'm in a total dark atmosphere. It's totally dark. It's very black, deep, deep black. And then I see millions of stars, and in the sky, it's the night sky, and it's very black. And there are millions of white little points, sparkling stars, and they change into white birds. When I'm connecting with the bird tribe, I feel myself swirling with a huge flock of geese, dancing on the wind, and I feel the force of this flow and the incredible lightness. And at the same time, this is not a dance of only pure joy, but also one to bring us a message, to make clear the utterly importance of prayer and connecting with the angelic realms, so that we are a bond and able to form a unity with the angels and archangels, and to stay in the light with great inner strength and use of our powers, our thoughts and actions for the highest good only. This force is offered to us and remembered to us by the bird tribe to make us remember where our inner powers live, to use these wisely and stay out of fear. And they wish us to stay alert for their messages. Thank you.
I saw the parasitics, and there are a lot less of them than when I first started doing this journey work, but they are gathering in groups now. And there's a lot of panic and stress in these groups, and fear. They don't want to go. They know they're being tracked. It's parasitics and outsiders. But there are some really smug ones in the group too, because they are doing a last hurrah at this like a last hurrah. I'm not going to say this is the last hurrah, but they're, and some of them are expecting it to work. Most of them really are not, but they're working on orchestrating it. Called in the PTO, gave them permission to remove all the parasitic energy and all the parasitic energy that these parasites are in contact with, and all the ones that those tried to set up a cascading effect. But then I was shown that when the parasitics go, there's going to be a vacuum. And there is something coming that hopes to fill that vacuum. And I saw a very black and very dark thing. I don't know what it was, but my mind went to that thing that the Native Americans say is kept beneath the surface of the earth by the thunder beings. And I was thinking, is Gaia, now that we have given her permission to stand in her power and to heal herself and to do the things that she can do, now that we have been told to quit restricting her and thinking of her as poor Mother Earth, that maybe now that she can stand in her power, that she is vomiting this thing up, whatever it is. And that's what I saw. And I am done.
I want to speak to that after everyone's finished, Arlie, because I want to get some information about that. Thank you.
I'll share. Called in the PTO to deep six all outsider energies that we might not be aware of that are in hiding in plain sight. I called in for the 11th hour protocol for all the Ukraine and Russian people, especially for the children though, and asked them, and then I asked them, there was a jelly-like substance that was covering the children and the children in utero to keep their harmonious frequency intact, so that doesn't get interrupted. And the Gaia is sending messages to all animals across the planet. And there was a lot about Gaia and just seeing the changes that she's going to show us coming up. Also, protection of sacred areas in Ukraine. Archangel Michael was there, but also a goddess that sought out justice and balance. So she came in and was literally illuminating those that were the ones in hiding in the beginning. She illuminated them, and the PTO sent them back to home source. So she came in and just shone a light, and off they went. Yeah, so I am complete.
Share really quickly because it's rather short. I was sitting here and I have this giant cedar tree in front of my window and it's covered with little birds. And so I just watched them kind of jump around. And then I looked down and I realized that we have garden art, which is attached to our back fence of a giant windmill sunflower that's just spinning and rotating like this. And I sort of looked at it and I used that as an opportunity to act like a radar, or just an opportunity to send it energy for it to then release out in the world. And so I just sat here with a smile watching this sunflower windmill just rock back and forth in the wind and in the storm. And then I just glowed. And since there's no sun out, I just became the sun. So it was wonderful. So it was easy and simple and quick.
I'll
I'll go, mine is short also. But I love that sunflower image. It came to me at the very end. The first thing that I was aware of is the music from this video that was made to let people know about the 2/22/22 meditation for peace. Ironically, this global situation erupted, I think 2 days after that. I'm not sure exactly how, and yet I kept hearing the song that was in there, and it was just so inspiring. I just felt like, okay, even though people gathered all over the world, I have friends that went to the pyramids of Giza where people were gathered, and this did. So I think what I was being shown is that it is doing a lot of good. It's just right now we're in this kind of crux thing. And I again felt bathed in the green energy, which I now know is Raphael, correct? Yeah, thank you. And then it kept shifting into purple, and then finally it went to yellow, not the gold, but the yellow of the sunflower, because I was very entranced by the whole sunflower image, and there she was. And the question I asked towards the end is, okay, it's not just enough to say prayers. We need to be ready for action. And so I said, okay, what kind of action would I be available to do? And basically it said, continue doing the work you're doing. So that was me. Go ahead, Deborah.
Yeah, first I got after I had shared that my dream, and the reason it was coming up was when I did get my degree, there was a lot of people wanted to stop my authority. My boss tried to stop me from getting my PhD, told me I couldn't sign my title of doctor. I said, it's not my title, it's my initials, D, capital D, period, capital R. But it was like, you don't have the authority to do that. And so it was like reclaiming the authority that we do have to do what we do. And then I started asking Tesla and other ones of his to do like little EMPs around the convoys that are headed towards Kyiv and stop all the little trucks that won't take out the electric grids, but just stop all the trucks so they can't get to where they're going. It's possible, see what can happen to stop it in whatever way they can do it. But then Jesus came in, and I'm still not sure what any of this means. But we went into this mountain. I said, we have to go in here. And there was a black dragon. And I'm not sure what the meaning of black dragons are. But he said, so you want to negotiate? And I'm like, maybe. Who are you? And I never got a clear answer, but we were going back and forth. And I had a golden dragon with me from the earth dragons on my side. And so I brought up some points that I was shown to talk, for the dragon to talk to Putin about, for Putin's healing to change. So I'm not sure what all that means. It's kind of odd, but thank you.
Go ahead, Kelly.
So it was very, very interesting. I don't quite often have human experiences, but more so, but all I could see was these monks, all types of monks, Tibetan monks, monks from way back in the abbeys, just all these monks, and they were all in silence, just traversing the entire world over and over and over again. And many of them, these would be the more, pardon my lack of historical knowledge, but the monks that would be swaying like the mirth at the end of the, whatever it was that they'd be swaying. And then seeing this all in fractals. So you've got all these monks, and many are in silence, many are chanting, but they're in there, and many are still in their silence. They may be chanting, but they're not speaking, and their vow of silence was really, really important outside of their hem or their tonations that they were making. And then as the smoke, those that had these swaying things that were bringing out smoke at the end ended up being a dove that was in a fractal. So I'm showing that as a good thing. And then, yeah, so it was just trying to keep a resonance, a harmonic frequency of peace as a constant through all belief systems, but through that process. So I'm complete. Thank you.
Sharon?
So I was one of the sunflowers in a vast field, swaying as the winds of change blew around the planet. And the roots keeping them anchored, the stalks flexing as needed, and the beautiful flowers following the sun's path across the sky. The energy of peace moving up from their entwined roots and being showered upon them by the sun. That energy absorbed by them, circulating around the world, spreading. And I know from experience that sunflowers are hard to eradicate. Once they've dropped their seeds, they come back year after year after year, provide food and oil and hold the soil. They also detoxify. They help to pull, I guess, heavy metals from the soils, which is good here because on this beautiful day, now that the snow is melting, I smell the soot from the fires that happened in December. There'll be a lot of need for that. They're cheerful. Their blossoms attract pollinators. They also have some enzyme or something in them that sort of kills off anything growing around them, like weeds. So this could maybe mirror the power of the PTO or, the action of deep sixing, the negative energies, releasing the outsiders back to their homes. And but it was very pleasant and cheery and colorful sunflowers. So yes, thank you.
Go ahead, Sue.
So mine took me into a victim consciousness, and it was so heavy. It just overwhelmed me. So I went into the heaviness of being a victim because I was asking about the collective human consciousness. So first I had to release it from me, deep six, release it, clear it. And then when I got to that, I claimed my sovereignty so I could get my power back. And from there, it was like, well, that's just the beginning. That's the tip of the iceberg. So then I claimed sovereignty for all women. And then that led me to claim sovereignty for all men. And then I claimed sovereignty for all children. That took me to what I saw then was a greater number of people waking up and saying, I don't have to be a victim. I don't have to be a victim anymore. And so I called in Gaia, and then it was like, it's not just Gaia, it's all four elements working together, creating balance and harmony. When they come together in balance, they create a worldwide balance. And then filling the consciousness with light, with love and light, and love and light all around the planet. And it felt like there was, like between individuals affecting the collective human consciousness and the four elements all coming together, creating a greater opportunity for transformation out of victimhood into claiming sovereignty, and that the more light there is around the world, the less darkness there is. And what's this just? It's a shifting of power, where the light is the dark is losing its power, and the light is gaining power because people are believing in themselves and believing in their sovereignty, their spirituality, the power that can come through them. So I was just watching that, and it just felt like there was an expansion of light within individuals, within humanity, and within and around the planet. And that felt really good. And I'm complete.
Sharon, did you want to add something else?
I did. We've lived for most of the time on the planet in belief structures created by the outsiders and their ownership and survival. And also we have lived a very short time in understanding the corrections that have been made in the galactic worlds, therefore how almost exactly opposite some of those old beliefs are. So the old belief that when an energy is formed and then you unform the energy, it stays, there's a vacuum there, is not the truth. In the galactic worlds, there was in the third world that kind of got locked in, but once that was corrected, it's not the truth. What exists always, never has changed, is the fact that there's divine family energy flowing everywhere, and that energy is coming from the galactic worlds now like never before. So it's not that those beliefs weren't true at one time. They're just not true. They're not in accordance to the changes that have been made. So when a structure is released or transformed, there's not a vacuum left, unless you believe there's a vacuum left. And if you believe there's a vacuum left, you might want to change your belief and understand that once the form has transformed, it goes back to light. There is a stream of all good there. That's what's there, is all good. The divine family's agenda of all good is there. It can be called into form, and you certainly can call it forth into that space if you feel inclined to. But you can also hold space that the light and love just radiates from what had been formed. I hope that makes sense. What they said also is that this darkness again, and even the jellyish form you saw, Arlie, kind of identified it as a possibility. That again, that was the possibility because there was not the authority voice and the conscious choice from authority to take what has been dark, and for example, put it in the cosmic composting system that is in place, both for the solar planetaries and for us. And so it's a whole. So what they suggest is I said, how much of those beliefs are still in place in human consciousness? They said it's about 70%, pretty strong. So my suggestion is that if you want to go after those old stories and transform those old stories, that form goes through the composting system, is restored to light frequencies, with the outsiders moved effortlessly back home. The composting system does that the flow of our divine family of good, of love, of all possibility of such remains strong and fills all space, time, regions, and dimensions. And with Gaia's on board with her authority voice, it changes everything also. So her being able to help clear her arena, it changes that whole need for something dark to come up to be addressed. We're addressing it as we go along. That's what I would suggest and get.
Would anybody else like to, Kelly?
Hey, this is going to be a hard right. The hard right. So within the last about month and a half, 2 months, I've been going, I mean, for the last couple of years, I've been going through a recognition of a metabolic and a metamorphosis physically. And within the context of that, I've actually gained quite a bit of weight. The weight's not the thing that I want to bring up, but what I want to bring up is the inflammatory response that I've seen my system have as it relates to my relationship or what I'm consuming, what it is I'm choosing to put in my body. I have a very clean diet, fruits, vegetables, minimal meat, you know, the normal thing, no soy, all those things. Well, the dragons came to me recently over the last couple of weeks and have been showing me in a very gentle way through their way that they show me that I needed to consume more meat. And then they had to get really graphic and show me that I'm going to consume a cow, and they would show me it consuming a cow. So, but what it led me to is after weeks of trying to put this piece of this puzzle together, it led me down a path of what, trying to understand what kind of inflammatory response my body is having. So I'm going through the grocery store and I'm holding things in my hands or I'm sensing them. Doesn't matter what it is, fruits, vegetables, keto, non-keto, wheat, I mean, the whole gamut. And nothing feels good except for red meat. God knows, and nothing except for red meat. So that, and I used to be a vegan and I was a vegetarian. I mean, I've done the whole gamut. It's like I've experienced all of it. So it led me to kind of begin to do a deep dive as to what is this red meat all about. So I was led to the carnivore diet, and also a diet that's also called the lion's diet. But the carnivore diet is where you just consume basically meat. You can choose to consume only red meat or meats, but nope, nothing from a plant, nothing from a plant. Fascinating deep dive. And Deborah, I was thinking about you specifically, or anybody who's having inflammatory response issues, whether it be a autoimmune. There are amazing stories of deep healing, amazing stories, healing of depression, of anti-inflammatory issues, of rheumatoid arthritis, from going to an all carnivore diet. So it's the lion's diet. And there's a woman by the name of Michaela Peterson. She's Jordan Peterson's daughter. I came across, he's been in my ethers for a long time. It's been fascinating. So they showed me recently that, and her story, Michaela's story, is amazing. I can't even begin to encapsulate what that young lady has gone through. But having an all meat diet has cured her from taking 20 different medications, her dad from taking a numerous amount of medications. And they told me just recently that I will only need to eat 1 to 2 days when I fully convert to a diet based in meat. Because the rest of our systems, I mean, not that meat is the best, right? I mean, you have to have grass finished or yada, 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 but that our soils have been so contaminated, and the United States food system, if you go to any other country, our sodas and our foods are based in cancer. You can go to the UK and buy a Mountain Dew and it's not based on corn syrup. And it doesn't use artificial yellow number 32. But so anyway, I just want to share that. I want to offer that because vibrationally, I can feel my body like this when I'm around meat. Now that I have the awareness, and nothing else in the grocery store feels good. Nothing. Fascinating. So I just wanted to share. So if anybody wants to do a deep dive for themselves, but this young lady has had all of her joints. She has had a hip replacement. She's had an ankle replacement, all because of degeneration of the joints due to autoimmune and rheumatism. And she's been symptom-free for I don't know how many years now. No meds, nothing. Anyway, just want to share. That's it. Thank you for listening.
Does that include fish?
It can include fish. So so I think it's part of what works for you to some degree. A lion's diet is mostly red meat, but it's like beef tallow, it's ghee, it's butter, it's eggs. Eggs for me are inflammatory, so I won't eat eggs. I don't like pork. I wouldn't eat pork, but so it just depends. But there's no, and chicken you can do, but it's really the beef. It's really just no animal, nothing that's a plant. Honey is vomit from plants. You don't eat honey. You know, it's anything that is related to a plant you don't consume. So there's a lot of, I mean, I've read some papers and it's just been fascinating. And there's a lot of doctors that you'll find, Dr. Zach Bush on YouTube. There's medical doctors that fully endorse it. And the research that this young lady, Michaela, had to do to heal herself, she figured it out all on her own, what was happening. And soy is a main thing. You know, soy is a main inflammatory thing. So anyway, I mean, you can take it many, many different ways, but you can include fish. But when you eat the fish, you're also eating the crispiness of the fatty, like the salmon skin. But your whole system converts to what it was once, many, many, many eons ago. Yes. So much.
Kelly. You know, when you hold on to an end result, whatever the end result is, you have to let go of your assumption of what the past includes, right? We're not holding on to a past, we're holding on to an end result. And then we say, show me the past. So anything we get that we can share with one another, it doesn't mean it is on everybody's past, but it might be on several. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
And Kelly, can you say what you know about black dragons?
Oh, okay. So yeah, thank you. So to me, the black dragon is the primordial mother in many ways, the negotiator of all things. I think you talked about being a negotiator, right? It's, to me, it's, I mean, and Sharon, you may have another thought there. You know, I think that this world is a dragon planet. I think that we are a dragon planet, and so I think that's how I view it. Sharon, how about you?
The reference I have to dragons really just comes through Gaia and her connection to the golden dragons. And so I haven't explored beyond that. I would love to. I love dragons, but I'll go with you, Kelly.
Anybody else? I mean, I think anything, it's like, that is the beginning point of all things, right? The darkness, the nothingness. That's where all things can start and begin again.
That sounds like a winner to me for right now for all of us.
Well, you know, and so what's funny is the black dragon came in, so the negotiator, mother of all things, and it's like, what do you want? And it's like, well, who do you negotiate with? And he said, well, I talked to Putin. And I'm like, okay, if you have my light, yeah, okay. So it's like, I want him to see things differently, that Ukraine can stay independent, but they can still be friends and allies. And I understand he doesn't understand what friends are or allies, you know, and so how can you reach him on that one, you know, and show him the power of love versus the love of power. And so that's what I asked the black dragon, to negotiate through that and see if they could get a change there.
Just a comment in that regard, because I was although she told this morning, once I put what I know, the best of what I know to bring together, they'll always say, and better, this and better, which that's basic, but I forget, because now we have those available to us who do know a lot more and a lot better. And then that gives them permission to upgrade our plan, kind of like what you were saying, Deborah.
Anyone else? Okay, we can take yourselves off mute. It's been enjoyable, ladies. Wonderful being here with each one of you.
Always.
Audrey, really loved it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Audrey.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you, Audrey.
You're welcome. Have a great night.
Thank you for hosting us.
Oh,
Thank
I love it. Thank you. Thank you.